melting the Millennium ice, the bullet train to inner peace. Hey everyone, welcome to today's deep dive. Today, we're going to talk about a very special piece of material. In this breakdown, we aren't going to just mindlessly chant ancient scriptures, no way. What we're actually going to do is take those spiritual mechanics from ancient classics, the ones that sound super profound, cryptic, and miles away from our reality, and translate them directly into modern concepts that you and I can understand in a heartbeat. Alright, are you ready to upgrade your mindset? Let's dive straight in. A quick preview of today's highlights. We've broken this down into 6 parts. What exactly is Buddha light? The omnipotent cloud network. Why can't we connect? The secret to stopping channel surfing. Melting the millennium old ice. The ultimate spiritual phase transition. We'll take it step by step to help you thoroughly understand this mind-blowing life upgrade. Part E. What exactly is Buddha light? Let us look at the original text from the Infinite Life Sutra. It says that whenever sentient beings encounter the light of Amitabha Buddha, they undergo an incredibly miraculous transformation. Their 3 defilements are eradicated, and their bodies and minds become soft, gentle, and leaping with joy. But let us be real. To us modern folks, that sounds way too abstract. Right, you're probably thinking, what kind of light are we talking about here? Sunlight, fluorescent light. I get plenty of sunshine every day. So how come I've never felt my body and mind suddenly become soft and gentle? It's genuinely confusing. And that brings us to our second part. Part R, the omnipotent cloud network. This is the most brilliant plot twist in today's analysis. The master offers what is honestly a genius modern translation of what this light actually is. The modern translation. This light isn't some magical laser beam at all. It is the transmission pipeline for the Buddha's thoughts. Think about it like this: it is exactly like the Wi-Fi router in your house, connected to an unimaginably massive cloud network. In other words, the infinite light the ancients talked about is actually a universal wireless network signal covering the entire cosmos. And that phrase, those who encounter this light, it just means the users who typed in the correct URL into their browser and successfully hopped onto the network. Isn't that a brilliantly vivid analogy? Part 3, why can't we connect? Now let's address a very real question: if the spiritual, ultra-powerful Wi-Fi signal is truly omnipresent, broadcasting 24, then why are we sitting here feeling absolutely nothing? Why are our minds still plagued by a ton of worries and drowning in stress? The master's diagnosis here is brutally honest and incredibly spot on. He straight up says this is entirely a user issue. There are 3 reasons why we can't connect. Reason E, we haven't even set up our receiver equipment. It's like failing to install solar panels no matter how bright the sun shines. You aren't generating any power. Reason R, even if the equipment is on, we are frantically channel surfing. We keep mindlessly clicking through hundreds of channels. Reason 3, we have zero patience. Before the data can even finish downloading, we get bored, give up, and run off to scroll through short videos of food and entertainment. When you look at it that way, of course you can't connect. Part C, the secret to stopping channel surfing. Since we know the root cause, let us move to Part C. How do we stop frantically switching channels? The master uses a very direct, slightly crude, but instantly understandable analogy here: the epiphany of cat and dog poop. Imagine you're walking down the street and you see a pile of dog poop. Do you need to exert immense willpower and try desperately to restrain yourself from stepping on it? Of course not. You think it's gross, so you naturally steer clear of it. The same logic applies here. If we can see right through worldly temptations and realize that they are inherently harmful and useless, our minds will naturally feel a sense of repulsion. Once that happens, you won't even have the slightest desire to click on those distracting channels. When you finally let go of these worldly temptations and stop switching channels, you achieve what is known as one-hearted unperturbedness, single-minded focus. But watch out, because here is a massive twist that flips traditional perceptions on their head. Note, a lot of people assume that one-hearted unperturbedness is the ultimate goal of spiritual practice. It is actually not. It is simply the basic, mandatory step of finally plugging in your router so you can get a stable internet connection. That's right, once you're reconnected, The real heavy lifting is just getting started. Part 2, Melting the Millennium Mold Ice. Here is the crux of the matter: what actually happens once you're online. The master compares our pre-connected state, where our heads are packed with anxieties, to a block of millennium old ice. Every single one of us is normally wrapped tightly in thick layers of self-defense mechanisms, packed to the brim with deeply ingrained bad habits and a fiercely stubborn ego. We are like a block of ancient ice stuck in the polar regions, cold, hard, and completely unyielding. Think about it: if you try to melt this ancient ice using nothing but your own raw willpower, it could literally take centuries. The data shows that even for highly advanced practitioners in ancient times, the fastest took 3 years, while the slower ones spent 7 years spinning their wheels in the exact same spot. But the moment you successfully connect to the Buddha-esque cloud network, the game changes completely. It is like planning to walk to work, but suddenly someone tells you to take a bullet train instead. With the acceleration of the Buddha light, the speed of melting that ancient ice is cranked up by at least 10 times. Part 0, the ultimate spiritual phase transition. Finally, let us see what the thermodynamic phase transition looks like on a spiritual level. When we are still a block of ice, we aren't just cold and hard. The master points out a profoundly shocking reality. As a block of ice, even if you are in a fantastic mood today and jumping around out of pure joy, the sharp, icy edges of your ego will still end up cutting and hurting the people around you. Wow, that statement paints such a powerful mental picture. But when you connect to the Buddha light and get warmed up until you melt into water, you finally become soft, gentle, and free of sharp edges. Yet that is still not the finish line. The ultimate goal of spiritual practice is for us to evaporate further, to transform into vapor, to become a formless state that approaches emptiness, achieving the highest realm of being completely harmless to every single living being. Conclusion. To wrap things up, today's brilliant breakdown provided by the Buddha Practice Association of Australia gives us a massive amount of food for thought. Now you know that this ultimate network is always available, and you know exactly how to plug in your router. So, as we close out this analysis, I want to leave you with one question to honestly ask yourself. Are you going to let the channels in your mind keep frantically jumping today? I hope today's share brought you some fresh inspiration. See you all next time. Bye bye.